So, namaste and a very, very good morning to each one. Starting again another very, very beautiful week for ourselves. And so, today we are going to touch a very, I do not know how to call this topic setting boundaries, because probably each one of us know about the boundaries, and yet none of us know how to draw boundaries. And when it comes to physical boundaries, when we speak about the properties, when we speak about the lands, when we speak about the countries, probably we know how to set the boundaries, and we demark the difference between that this is your part and this is my part. And how does that help us? So the expectations, the anger, the resentment, the regrets, the rejections, everything that comes into our lives, and everything where we get stuck and we feel that why me and why this happened to me, that automatically stops or reduces when you know the boundaries. When it comes to physical realities, we all know we hire lawyers for that. We get our contracts for that. We write down all the terms and the conditions very, very clearly. We reread the clause, whether it is fine, am I missing out on anything, am I supposed to be adding something into that, so that in future there is no more complication. And when it comes into the most sensitive and most complicated part of our lives, which is our relationships, there are no contracts, there are no commitments, there is no clarity. Everything is in our mind, and everybody has a different definition for it. Everybody executes it in a very different way, because there is no defined demarcation of what it is and how it is. So boundaries are something that is very important in the relationships to avoid resentments, regrets, anger. And as we said, when our expectations don't match our realities, then the problem begins. And our expectations don't match the reality because there is probably no clarity about it from the beginning before we begin any relationship. So either when you start a relationship, there is too much of sharing, the way in which it is being communicated to the other person, and certain times taking certain things for granted of another person. Whatever they are doing, we assume that this is my child supposed to do. We assume my parents are supposed to do that. We assume this is how it is supposed to be. Remember, we are not buying people and we are not buying our relationships out. They have their individual choices of how they like it and how they would like to execute it. And when we become disrespectful of others' choices, automatically by default, what we attract is people being disrespectful to our choices. Or probably because there is lack of clarity, many times in a relationship, people do not understand exactly how much to share and when to stop. And majority time, what they argue back is that, oh, I am a very clean person, I have nothing to hide. But hiding something and reporting to someone are two different things. So You do not go out in the world and go on telling them, you know what, my house I had bought at that price. You know what, today I have done this deal. Today, you know what, today I ate that. You don't do that because you don't feel that you are supposed to go out in the world and every day go on doing and go on telling people. So you're not hiding anything, but you are neither reporting them everything about what you are doing. So that becomes again another reason in a very close relationships. Because once you do that, then every time there is an expectation, and then they feel very bad about why you did not tell me. Again, crossing the boundaries. So, whether we work on our physical health, whether we work on our emotional health, mental health, the problem comes because the balance is not being maintained. And within yourself, you are not at ease with something. You are not at ease with something because probably there was no clarity and no identification of it. And many times after you go through it, you realize that I should have done that in this relationship. If I would have defined it beforehand, probably this problem wouldn't have occurred. So, one of our class of the soulmate and you and your significant others, Vayana describes his boundaries very, very well. So Vayana Stibble is the founder of Theta Healing Institute. And she describes it that before she married her current husband, Guy Stibble, which she feels is that both of them are soulmate. She said when we started dating and then before we wanted to proceed further, we actually sat down and we had written all that both of us felt that this is very important in our relationship. And this is something which I will not accept at any cost. And right from the points where if she required to travel for her work, the Guy Steeple always travels along with her. They're always together. What would be the division of work between the two? So if she has a very tiring day, there's somebody looking after the house. It is there written in the contract how the finances will be handled and how it will be shared, responsibilities, whether it is allowed for anyone, and that's clearly a no for anyone to look out of the relationship. Everything is written very, very clearly. One of the ways how we establish our boundaries is having clarity of what we are looking for in our relationships. We fear doing that. We fear doing that, thinking that how will that make other person feel about it? Isn't it that many times people complain that no matter how much ever I do for my family, nobody appreciates. And out of 100 times, if one time I fail to do something because of my health issues or because of some other issues, you are tired, you're fatigued, that day you don't feel like doing it. People really feel bad about it. People really feel that, oh, she didn't do. But at the same time, you may have some other family member who never does anything for people. And if they do it even once, everybody appreciates. Isn't it that everyone has somebody in their life where we complain and we say, but this is not fair. You're not looking at 99 times when I have done. That one time when I couldn't do is being pinpointed to me 100 times that you didn't do it, you didn't do it, you didn't do it, you didn't attend the function, you were not there, you didn't do that. And there are thousands of complaints, and then you are very hurt. And why is it that you never tell somebody else about it? They never do anything. One fine day, they just verbalize and communicate it. They stood by you. And you are very happy about it, that, you know what, this person did everything for me. Why? Because probably that other person never had written it in the contract, but right from the beginning, they set their boundaries very, very clearly through their actions. Through their actions, that this is your work and I'm not supposed to be part of it. Gradually, people's expectations from them is not there. And probably you may have said anything, but your actions were very different. You may tell your children, you're supposed to be independent, you're supposed to do that on your own. But when it came to action, you did exactly the opposite. You're right there for them. Don't worry, I'm there for you. I'll do that. You called up, you did, you do everything. Gradually, they develop that dependency on you. Now, suddenly, after a few years, you realize today you heard this topic, and suddenly you feel, okay, yeah, this was so correct. I will do that. People are not used to it. And then they may start cribbing, and then you may say, forget what Sangeeta said. She doesn't understand my house conditions. I cannot draw boundaries anymore. Start small. Start small to make it easier for yourself and for others. And you will be able to draw that when first you realize and understand where are you not being able to establish the boundaries. And that boundaries are important. And that it is fine to hear no from someone, because then you are respecting and honoring their boundaries. And it is fine to say no to someone, because that's respecting and honoring your own boundaries. So these are the simple guidelines for today to begin setting healthy boundaries. Remember, I had said in past, disagreement should always be agreeable in a relationship. But that happens when we allow ourselves to be a listener. We allow ourselves to understand who we are, what we are. And we allow ourselves to understand who the other person is. And where in the past you faced problem with them, you cannot change what happened in the past. Are you choosing to continue this relationship for any reasons, X, Y, Z, doesn't matter. What are the steps which you may start taking to get this relationship or to mold this relationship, what ideally you would like this relationship to be, which is not either harming you or the other person. And one of the major steps for that is drawing boundaries in your actions, being gentle, being nice, yet being very sure about it. That is what probably our muscles in the body require. The right amount of flexibility and the right amount to hold on to. The toning. The strength and flexibility has to go hand in hand there. The minute we bring it in our relationship, by default, automatically, it starts showing in our physical body. So yes, what Srilata said, being assertive, but we be assertive without pushing it, without having to prove our point to somebody, without fearing being assertive, happens only when we have clarity about who we are and what we wish to develop. We'll continue with this topic further tomorrow. So for now, let us do the Theta healing downloads to allow our bodies to be able to develop healthy boundaries, to set healthy boundaries in our relationships and in every aspect of our lives. Everybody is set for the wonderful Theta healing downloads for the same. Yeah, thank you. So I want each one to close their eyes now. And allow yourself to connect to yourself. And as you are connected to yourself now, would you like to know what it feels like to understand from the Creator's definition and perspective of the seventh plane of Creator of all that is, of setting healthy boundaries? I know what it feels like to set healthy boundaries. I know how to do that. I know when to do that. I know it is safe. I know it is possible. I know I'm deserving to set healthy boundaries. I choose to live my daily life setting healthy boundaries and to operate with healthy boundaries. I set healthy boundaries. I know what it feels like to respect and honor my own boundaries that I set. I know what it feels like to respect and honor the boundaries that others may have set, and that it is safe, it is possible for me to live my daily life respecting and honoring my own boundaries and the boundaries of the others. I know what it feels like to stop judging people for the boundaries that they may have set. I know what it feels like to stop judging myself for the boundaries that I may have set. I know what it feels like to stop feeling guilty and stop punishing myself for my inability to be able to draw boundaries right from the beginning of any relationship, and to stop cursing myself from being the victim because of my inability, of my lack of clarity of a relationship, my lack of communication in a relationship, and my lack of being able to have and set healthy boundaries in a relationship. I stop punishing myself for letting somebody walk over me, and I stop punishing myself for unknowingly if I would have walked over somebody. I know that that past is over and completed, and today who I am is a different person and a different energy. I embrace my today with equal love, and I allow myself to integrate the learnings of my past into my today. into my present, to shift my realities in my present and to create a beautiful future for myself, and that it is completely possible. I understand the definition of different relationships through Creator's definition and perspective, moving beyond the mass consciousness. I know I am the product of my past, present, and future, and I am the product of my experiences, and I am the product of my thoughts. I know how to change myself at the thought level and to bring the shift into my past, present, and future realities that I am living right now at the level of my parallel universe realities. I know that everything begins at the thought level, and allowing myself to execute it as per the clarity of my thoughts, invoking the divine wisdom and the divine intellect within me. I know what it feels like to allow my higher self and angel guides, my divine wisdom and divine intellect to be in charge of my life and guide me at every step how to execute these boundaries in my relationships in a very healthy way, without the fear of hurting my loved ones, without the fear of the impact on my loved ones, without the fear of hurting my own self, without being stuck into the zone of sadness, grief, guilt, crying, without feeling stagnant, blocked, and without holding the belief that nothing is going to change. Taking back the power in my hand of who I am and allowing to shift my frequency, understanding it through Creator's definition and perspective of the seventh plane of Creator of all that is. I know how to do that. It is safe, it is possible. I'm deserving of having peacefulness, joy, happiness, freedom, space, respect, honor in every relationship of mine. I stop any known or unknown need in me of having to direct others' lives and having to seek for approval of others to direct my life. I withdraw myself from others' lives and I take charge of my own lives. My own life through Creator's definition and perspective of the seventh plane or Creator of all that is now. I know how to do that with ease and grace, and that it is safe, it is possible. I know in what way to do that, when to do it, and how to live my daily life with the same. It is safe, it is possible. I'm deserving to live with peace, to live with joy, to live happily, to enjoy relationships. I know what it feels like to let people be who they are, what they are, and how they are. And that it is possible. Into every cell, fiber, tissue, molecule of the body, every area of the life, at all the four level of the beliefs for your highest and best in the highest and best possible way. Creator of all that is, it is commanded to instill all those feelings into each one who says yes right now and later while watching, while listening to this recording in the language that their mind understands, at the level of their readiness without creating any healing crisis in their past, present, and future bodies, at the level of the thought, at the level of the belief, at the level of the DNA, at the level of the nucleus, at the level to allow it to circulate into the entire body in the fall level of the beliefs for each one's highest and best, for their highest and best, infinitely be instilled into each one now, on today, on this day, at this time. With lots of gratitude, thank you. May this be instilled into each one's higher selves and their angel guides also, to allow the process to unfold in a very gentle way, and if required, let the divine intervention happen and to let it unfold in the most peaceful way for each one. Thank you. It is done. It is done. It is done. Creator, show me. Passing unconditional love, light, and healing to each one. You all can open your eyes. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Lots of gratitude. Listen to today's downloads many times because it's easy to speak about it, and allowing ourselves, what these downloads do is it allows ourselves to create this as a reality, because as I've explained, behind this and below this, we have our master selves, and master selves for whatever we have done till now. So we have only one opening there. If we shut the old ones with the downloads and we open up the new one. So allowing ourselves to let the new reality also unfold. Obviously, when we do the downloads, we are not mastering those virtues. But at least it opens up and we allow ourselves to move with it. And that's why we first understand and then we do the release and the downloads. It's very important to be able to upgrade ourselves in our level of understanding from what we have created, what requires us to change it, and how to implement that in our daily lives. So do listen to the downloads many times. Sometimes you will lose the touch of the words, what I'm saying. Sometimes you will be focusing on that. Sometimes you may feel vibration. Sometimes you may feel some energy shifting. It's different for different people. It is okay. But do that. So probably you can make the best from this entire week when we allow ourselves to draw and to set healthy boundaries, to let it impact in our relationships in a very beautiful way. So thank you for joining with lots of gratitude from Team Cesta. See you all tomorrow, 9 a.m. Thank you.